So I noticed that you see with guys, sometimes when we're facing issues, we barely disclose those issues to people around us or even in the community because there's this stigma that if you're a guy and then you're being vulnerable, then it's like you're weak. And sometimes even on social media, the ladies are like, guys, you don't have to, you have to be tough, you have to be hard. Yeah.
Some cultures have these traditions where if you're a man, before you get a wife, you need to fight, you need to go through all these,
Yes.
kind of.
Hello, lovely people. This is another exciting episode of the Physytek podcast, and today we're going all about men's health. And I have with me a creative who has years of experience in cinematography, and will be sharing some insights, some experiences regarding our mental health and how we have been able to overcome some of these instances. Chairman, Charlie, tell us about yourself, man.
So my name is Kabna Mari. I did engineering back in university and now I'm doing film. I'm a cinematographer.
Wow.
Right. So
From engineering to video. Interesting. We are in the same shoes actually.
Really?
Anyway. So I noticed that you see with guys, sometimes when we're facing issues, we barely disclose those issues to people around us or even in the community because there's this stigma that if you're a guy and then you're being vulnerable, then it's like you're weak. And sometimes even on social media, the ladies are like, guys, you don't have to, you have to be tough, you have to be hard. Yeah, but sometimes, and what do you think? What do you think? Like these things, how does it relate with the real nature of how we are supposed to expose or we are supposed to disclose some of the issues we face personally?
I think this thing kind of dated back in the days, you know, when in some cultures, like some African cultures, you could see that people, some cultures have these traditions where if you're a man, before you get a wife, you need to fight, you need to go through all these, kind of masculine this, and so these things weren't like things that just started, but they've been things that have been there. So like the moment you are born a man, you know, the whole society makes you feel like you need to be hard, you know, before you hold everything inside, you know.
Exactly.
So it makes a lot of us men kind of hold things in ourselves. Anytime that we face challenges, we feel like, oh no, let's try and figure this thing out on our own. And I think it's something that we really need to start throwing more light on. You know, we really need to start thinking about how men are going through some of these things, to throw more light on these things, you know. And you'll be very shocked some of the things that you're going to get out of certain guys when you try to get like deep down into their skin.
Exactly. So I remember there was a time where it was a business setting, right? We had finished the business conversation, a formal conversation, and just a group of guys we gathered. We were just talking, and can you believe even a married man was sharing his experience? Like, all he was saying was, because when he goes home, he's not happy, and he can't even disclose it to his parents or even his relatives. But when we gathered as guys, and then he was like, Charlie, sometimes women, if they toxic, fear women, you fall bad. Because the pepper they go through. And this guy had a very beautiful wedding, and everybody was like, Charlie, this couple here, a sharp, beautiful wife, everything on point. But sometimes he intentionally goes home late just because he wants to go and sleep. And there's somebody who is in his community, he feels like if you say you're going to seek divorce, they'll tag you some way, Charlie, you're a failure to society. And you see, these things are issues that if men don't open up to people to help, it becomes a big problem. Now let's bring it to your work now, from engineer to creative guy, cinematographer. Like, Charlie, how are you able to deal with it? Because I know that sometimes especially in Ghana, when you're dealing with photographers, people feel photographer, yeah, come and take pictures. I'll pay you. Sometimes they don't even pay them the exact amount and all these things. Charlie, tell me.
All right, so let me touch a little bit on what you said earlier on.
Yeah.
Then I come to the creative aspect. So this your married friend like this, and I believe this is one of the reasons why we have a lot of men dying at a very tender age, a very early age. We see a lot of men dying before their wives, and with these men going through some of these things, they just either go into alcoholism or. And I had a friend who one day went to a club. He went outside Ghana, I think, to the UK, and he went to a club and he met a man in the club. And this is something that is not even happening just in Ghana here, and it's also happening outside Ghana. He went to a club and he met this man, and the man was from work, but he said the way his wife is, he can't go home. She had to stay in the club till like 5 a.m. in the morning, go home back and go back to work. You understand? And a lot of men just tend to alcohol and a whole lot of things, and that's one of the reasons why you can see a lot of men die, because they are not able to open up to share their experience with anybody. They are not getting solutions or help outside, So these are also some of the things that men sometimes feel when it comes to like mental health and other things. But when we come to the creative aspects, when it comes to my field, sometimes you don't really find photographers, video folks, those into wedding, those into real estate and all these things. You don't really find them sharing their experience. But trust me, like working with clients in Ghana is very, very stressful.
Oh, bro, talk to me.
Very, very stressful. And like media, especially in Ghana, it's not really respected as compared to outside.
Or let me say, the creative space.
The creative space in general. The creative space in general is not really respected. And one thing that I dislike when people don't associate creatives to it is, if I'm a creative and maybe like right now I'm doing cinematography in documentaries and films, when I'm in that field, it's just like somebody working in a bank.
Exactly.
That's the kind of respect myself I look at my job and see my job to be. You understand? So if you call me and you be like, oh, photographer, the man be 300, be okay. You understand? But like you see other professions or like being a doctor and all those things, you see them to be, oh, like this guy is this thing. But you see, let me bring your mind to something very, very tangible. When it comes to media, one of the reasons why other countries are striving right now is because of media. Now, I told somebody this thing and the person was really shocked. I told the person that, see, if we still have screens in this world, then media is still important. You have a phone, I have a phone. Everybody watching right now has a phone, has a TV, has a tablet or a laptop. And whatever goes there comes out from the media or the creative space. If you want to watch news, there's a camera guys behind that.
Everything.
Everything you see on our screens, whether it's a graphic design work or it's a motion graphic, it's a cartoon or animation. It comes from this side of like the creative space. You understand? And if we don't throw more light, we don't respect these people, and we don't appreciate them more, how can we even sell the country? Have you been to America before? Let me ask you this question.
No, I've not been there.
But if I ask you, do you know New York? If I ask certain things about New York, at least you know Times Square, you know certain things. How do you know that?
Through movies.
Through movies.
And documentaries,
You understand? So how are we going to sell this country?
Well,
if you are not looking at the media space, you are not like paying more attention to the media space.
And there's one thing, I feel like even for an artist or someone in the creative space to bring something into existence, it takes a lot of mental focus, because it's like, for example, let's say a graphic designer. I have this experience where a friend was telling me that he doesn't like how Ghanaian street graphic designers, because for instance, you can be there and someone will just send me a message, I want a flyer for my business, and then if he mentions a price and the person is like, hey, it's too expensive, oh, let me give you 50 cedis, let me give you 100 cedis. Oh my God, how?
And that's the most painful part. That's the most painful part when it comes to our side of things. And when it comes to the mental health aspect, you know, because of some of these reasons, some of us creatives, we are not able to turn these things into actual careers.
Yeah.
You know, because we end up not making so much money, and you could see a lot of creatives ending up in depression and all these things. You know, and aside that, it also now pushes the mentality to people around us. You understand?
Okay.
And now you see, aside you facing pressure from other like social stuff, you know, you're also facing problems from home. You get it. And you see, being a creative, it comes from the mind. You understand?
Yes.
You sit down, let's say for instance, you want to create a logo.
Yes.
You sit down, you think about the company, or what is this company going to do? You start thinking about these things. Sometimes you even take it into your sleep. And if you don't have the peace of mind, how are you going to be able to do that job and do it? This person is pulling you here. This person is saying,
maybe your girlfriend too is worrying you. Hey, you're not giving me time. Blah blah blah.
Time and money.
Yes.
You understand? Because even if the time is even limited and there's money, she's going to be okay.
Yes. Exactly.
You understand? But there's the case the money is not coming, and here's the case you're not even being able to give him. And you see, at that period too, the whole point is that you're not going to be able to put out your best.
Yeah, it's true.
You understand? So every time it's like you have to compromise. Like when it comes to editing, like the editing is very stressful.
Yeah.
Some people see editing to be, you're just putting together some else every day. But editing is very stressful because let's take for instance a movie. You shot the movie like in different scenes, in different days, in different locations and other things. Now you have given it to an editor. The editor has to now sit down, the story that you've written and that you've shot it different days.
Yeah.
How am I going to combine these things and make sure it works? It tells the story. It flows. You need that peace of mind.
Yes.
You know, and sometimes some people see creatives to be very lazy because we're no other.
Yeah.
So you might think
it's
that
true.
this guy there,
he's lazy.
He doesn't, you know. But sometimes you never know. Maybe at that period that he's in his own space, he's planning something.
Okay.
You understand? Because sometimes I don't know I hope it's still the same thing for people who paint and all these things.
Yeah.
Before you even pick up the paintbrush, he has already coined everything he's going to do in his mind.
Yeah.
So before he takes it, he's flowing. And sometimes when it comes to editing, that's what I do. Sometimes before I even go on to edit the thing, I've already planned everything in my mind. So when you come and you see me sleeping, or you see me sitting down, maybe watching videos and lazy half about,
it doesn't mean you are lazy.
It doesn't mean I'm lazy.
Yeah.
Because at that moment, I'm putting together some strategies I'm going to use to edit the video. I'm trying to figure out, okay, these, I'm going to do this. You see, so like some of these things, because most people or the whole general public don't really get it. Sometimes the pressure that comes to creatives, it makes them become very face a lot of mental health issues.
So that brings me to this. Is it that fine, we're facing these issues in the creative space, business world, in various sectors now? Why are we not being proactive? Because from the point of a guy, unless let's say he has some sickness or there's an injury or something very severe before you think of even seeing a doctor. Even before going to see the doctor, sometimes maybe he has some headache. Oh, go to the pharmacy and get some paracetamol. If it becomes worse, then you'll be like, oh, then let me go to the hospital. So it's like sometimes we are more reactive than proactive when it comes to our health, and even including our mental health. And there's this notion as well that hey, if you're talking about your mental health, or maybe you want to see a psychologist, then means you're getting mad. And then even among guys, when let's say I tell you that, oh Charlie, I want to go to see the psychologist. I just want to. Then your friends will be like, Charlie, you're mad. All those things. Like, it's some kind of stigma.
Yeah, yeah.
So I don't know if we, like you in the creative space, how can you guys understand that the pressure comes, you need to use your mind a lot in bringing things into existence. Now, your mental health, even your physical health, is so important. How can you blend the two so that, in as much as you're having time to deal with your gigs, to deal with your designs, editing, and the rest, you also have time, maybe like once in a month, to just visit the hospital or see someone to just help you in that. Is it possible? How can people in the creative space do that?
I think for creatives, because we work so much with our minds, we already have sort of quote unquote therapy that we normally go to.
Okay.
But you see, it's not every creative that can afford that kind of lifestyle.
Okay.
That's why when you see in some spaces like Hollywood and all these well structured, industries, you see that some people sometimes take vacations.
Yeah, yeah.
They
Very necessary. Sometimes they take themselves on a date just to.
spend some time with family, spend some time with their wives, and some of these things are very, very helpful, like to really help your mind, So, but like here's the case, you see, I still come back to that same issue. Here's the case: we don't respect
So
this.
even if you are charging,
Yeah,
it's like.
And you see, when I talk about charges, someone might be like, oh, this guy maybe, because there are people that are doing well creatively, like in this country. But when I say charge, I'm talking about people ripping off creatives.
Okay.
You understand?
Okay.
Not giving them the credits that they deserve.
Okay.
Somebody will call you, oh, so they are madam for. Babe travel in mommy. Oh, say you're madam for getting
Yeah,
free.
yeah, free. All those things.
It's bad. Honestly, it's bad, and you have to understand that that person too over there also has a lifestyle or has a life.
He has a family.
He has a family. He has all this. His mental health. You have to
Yes.
really think of all these things. You understand? What is this guy going to go through before he can produce what I'm asking him to do?
Yeah, yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
So whatever I'm giving to him, is it worth that?
So,
You have to think about all that.
Yeah. So it's like you're even talking for the creative industry.
Yeah, exactly.
So, and one thing I've picked from you is that the respect for the profession.
Yeah.
And this is also from my point of view, that some people in the creative space have made it so, and some are trying their best to bring that respect to their profession. So I believe that if the entire creative space come together and then understand that maybe sensitization will be part to just sensitize the general public, that if you approach even a photographer, you need to follow certain procedures. You don't just call him, oh, be your picture, mommy, and then I'll pay you this amount. At least respect the person's pricing, and even if you can't afford, you should have like a reasonable negotiation with the person. You don't just get up and then you be like, okay, guy with his price is too much. I don't think I'll go with him. And then even it's also been on social media where sometimes what I ordered versus what I got. Sometimes you go for the cheaper one and then it comes with a lot of issues.
Sometimes I just end up leaving you. If he texts me or he call me, oh, I want this, I want that. And in the first place, I'm going to let you understand what it takes to do whatever you want to do. I'm going to tell you, I'm going to open up things to you. You understand? If you want to go with a cheaper side, that's you have your money, you own your money, you can do whatever you want to do with your money. But if you go and you come back, I'm going to raise my price. Yeah.
Of course, you need to.
Yeah.
So do people in the creative space take into cognizance their physical health, more like the fitness? So let's say the person doing the editing, doing the graphic design, etc.
Hardly,
Hardly. Wow.
hardly. If I consider the folks I work with, and um, you look at them, you could tell from like their daily activities, you
Okay.
know, hardly do they sometimes consider these things, especially like the creatives. Hardly do they consider, because it's more about from one gig to the other gig, from one
Yeah.
gig
So
to the
you're not
other
even
gig, one
getting
gig,
time for
one gig,
yourself.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I think it's also a very good thing that we also have to also consider our health. You know, sometimes do all these checkups. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
have some time to eat good food, because
Mhm.
creatives like hardly eat good food.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah, it's true.
really?
Because sometimes you could be, let's take for a film, you could be on a film set till like 9 p.m., 10 p.m., 11 p.m. I remember the man from Home Sweet Home,
Yeah.
who
Kojo
had
Jackson,
stroke, Kojo Jackson, who had stroke, and I was watching his interview on KSM, and he was like, he had diabetes and ended up having stroke and all that, and they were asking like what happened, and and he was saying that sometimes you be on movie sets, you eat after 11 and you eat late in the night and all that, and he says he was telling them that that was one of the causes of his diabetes, and ended him up having stroke. So sometimes we do forget creatives, because of the way we are moving from one gig just to make ends meet. We are moving
Yeah.
from one gig to the other gig. Sometimes we do forget about our health too as well. So I think the creatives out there should also start considering their health, their mental health. And also I think people around creatives to should, because sometimes creatives like to be on their own.
Yeah.
They like to be in their own space. But I think it is helpful if um, other folks around them could also get to get close to them, get to know what they are feeling, what is going on in their mind, what problems they are having, and just not be at the far end and start judging them.
Yes.
Oh, this guy, Jumano and cry, bogus. Like, let's, just try and get to understand the person, because see, honestly, the whole point is that some of these creatives could have been doing 9 to 5 jobs,
Yes. Yes.
but some of them just can't. Being a creative is very difficult if you are not really a creative to understand these things.
Okay.
Because if you're a creative, sometimes you want to be in an open space. You don't want to be enclosed. So when you are doing 9 to 5 and kind of repeating the same thing every day, it's very, very difficult for creatives to do that, because they like to experience new things. They like to try new things. So when you keep them in that 9 to 5 job that is more like a routine, it becomes stressful to
It
them.
limits their.
It limits
creative
their,
ability.
so trust me, see, you can have a creative who is going to do 9 to 5. You do the 9 to 5, the moment you get something small, it's out. And some of them to, like from the beginning, I know a man that from the beginning you could see that this man is a creative from birth. You understand? But you can see that his parents kind of forced him, and now he went into medicine, he became a pharmacist and other things. And ever since he became a pharmacist, he's been trying to go back into
The creative
the
space.
creative space, because of family. Now he has to take care of family, he has to stick with his job. And now the man is over 60 years. And he could never, he couldn't do what he actually wanted to do. These things sometimes come from, like, sometimes parents, like some of the parents needs to at least try the person on what he wants to do. I know for other cultures, you can see when a child is very young, they will give the child a guitar.
Yeah.
The child will try the guitar out. Then they'll give the child a violin. Then they'll try piano.
Yeah.
From a tender age, to see whatever the child is going to pick up. And you see, these people, when it comes to music, when it comes to film, when it comes to all these things, they are very good, because they started at a very tender age. And their parents were very supportive. You understand? And trust me, this creative industry, there's a lot of money in it. I just explained to you that everything we use right now is screen.
Yeah.
Everything right now is screen. And which people are producing the things that you see on screen. So if you sit back and you think that, oh, what my son or my daughter is doing, have you thought of this? You understand? So it is very, very key that parents also try to understand their kids. Just try the person, maybe 1 year or 2 years. Okay, fine, this is what you want to do. go for it, go and do it. I'll support you. Even if you're not giving the person money, you're not supporting the person with maybe equipment or anything, and the person knows that, oh, my daddy or my mommy appreciates what I do. You are giving the person encouragement. That alone will even push the person to even push more in that craft. But if a person goes and comes back and it's all insults, it's all like setbacks and all those things, it doesn't help. And a lot of African parents are killing a lot of kids.
So let me share this with you. I have this friend who did electrical engineering.
Yeah.
And after school, his parents were like, go work in ECG, VRA, Gridco, I mean the electrical engineering companies. And he's been a creative since. But he took that decision not to go worry himself. I mean, he could have easily gotten a job there, but he decided to go into graphic design, and that he's very good. Someone who didn't even do graphic design in school, as in learn it, is now teaching people how to even use some of the softwares, Photoshop and the rest. Very good. And recently he was sharing with me that he feels like stopping the graphic design. He even does video editing, animation and the likes, and he feels like stopping because Ghana or Ghanaians don't really appreciate the creative space, and sometimes it's so hard for him because he can literally sleep, wake up, and then if you give him a design to do, he'll do it. But like you said, before he even starts doing it, he's thought about it while sleeping, just so that when he wakes up, he's able to do that. But somebody like that is creative, but the environment is just killing that desire to even continue.
Exactly.
Now, with regards to mental health, men especially, do you think we should start, like, maybe in the creative space, you should intentionally start educating the men, Charlie? If you're facing this, do this or connect to these people. If you need a physiotherapist or a psychologist, connect to these people. Because the reason I'm saying that is Physytek has a platform called Mentor My Rehab, which allows you to connect with a physiotherapist. So, as part of your busy schedule, maybe you wouldn't even get time to go and see a physiotherapist. Yeah, you can connect with the physiotherapist online and then just have an online consultation, and then he tells you, oh, do this as part of your work. Sometimes, there's this occupational hazard that comes with the work. So do you think it's something they should embrace?
I think it's not about just creatives alone.
Okay.
I think it's about men in general.
Yeah.
Like, we really need to start taking care of our health. I remember I was listening to a preaching one day, and the man was like, Charlie, buy yourself something good. Spend money on yourself.
Yeah.
Like, take yourself out. So I think men, we hardly like consider ourselves.
Yeah.
And it's about time that we start, with this medium. I think it's a very good medium that creatives and other men should also start looking into these options,
Okay.
like try and educate yourself on these things, just not for just creatives, but for men in general. We really need to educate ourselves when it comes to mental, because it's real.
Yeah.
It is real, and a lot of men are going through it. It is real, and a lot of men are going through it. So we really need to educate ourselves. If there's a point where we need help, let's go out, let's get the help.
Okay. So, in your last words to the general public, those watching. So you just share your last words with that.
Yeah, I think with what I just said, men, we really need to start taking care of ourselves.
Okay, great.
And also, like, we really need to start giving respect to the creative industry.
Okay.
It plays a very, very major role in building a country.
Yeah, I agree to that.
We really need to take care of that. It's not the doctors alone, the lawyers alone. when it comes to, and even media cries the fourth
The arms of government.
arms of government.
Yeah.
Why don't we have doctors, or we don't have yes, you understand?
Yeah.
So we really need to start respecting that aspect,
Okay.
because that's one of the things that I believe, especially in Ghana here, is going to build this nation.
A solid guy. A solid guy. So, ladies and gentlemen, this episode was brought to you by Physytek, with sponsorship from Starbound. And, like we discussed, the creative space, men's health. Maybe you go to the gym and then you have some muscle aches, muscle sores. You can use Starbound. This is more like a roll-on. You rub it on the spot where you have the pain, and you're good to go. We need to take ownership of our health and live in our mental health in general, so that we are fit to work, make our family happy, make our community happy, and eventually develop the nation. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been a wonderful episode, and we hope you've learned a lot. So to you there, the next time you call your graphic designer or even a photographer for an event, try and put some premium on his service, because their mental health matters a lot. This has been a great time with you, Omari, and it's a Physytek podcast. Catch you in our next episode. Thank you.